Welcome everyone to another week of the Focus TV. We got Xavier Wyatt here, Ricardo Dudley Jr., Raymond Lyons, Wilson Tarver Jr. This is season 9, episode 17 of the Focus. We will get straight to it. Got a lot to get through, especially with the first couple rounds of the tournaments being over on both sides of the brackets. Ray, we're gonna start with the Washington Wizards, man. What you got for us?
The Wizards, the Wizards, the Wizards. They are currently in the midst of a 16-game losing streak. So that tells you how things are going on that end. But over the last week, they had back-to-back home games against Detroit on Tuesday and Thursday. Then had they were back-to-back home and away against Oklahoma City and the Knicks over the weekend. They of course lost all of those games. But on Saturday they did have a fairly decent showing against the defending champs. They pushed them. They made SGA have to assert himself, which given where they are in the season, that's about all you could hope for. But I mean, it was a decent effort. The results of that show on their back to back game against the Knicks on Sunday. They just had nothing left. They're already not at full strength, and the Knicks they realized that, and they just started off very aggressive, punished them on the inside, and kept their foot on the gas the entire game. And the Wizards just weren't able to recover. But it was a career night for Jaden Hardy. He had 25 points, and for them, it's just good to see those young guys continue to go out there and fight. That's just basically what's been their mo over the past few weeks. We know what they're doing with this season. It's no need to continue to get into that, but yeah, man, it's just it's fun to see these guys take advantage of their opportunity. So hopefully they'll continue to do that over these last 11 games. Hopefully that translates to wins at some point. But yeah, they got to get off this slide just to avoid becoming a Jeopardy answer. I think this is the Wizards' fourth 16-game losing streak in like the past two seasons. So yeah, it's been a lot of tough stretches here, but hopefully we're moving past those days. They got players that like Trey Young, Anthony Davis, who are not playing right now, but looking forward to them doing positive things here in the future. So yeah, man, just getting ready for the draft and seeing what's next.
Yeah, like you said, Jeopardy answers. Well, they've already became one Jeopardy answer with that Bam Adebayo game. So let's avoid two for sure. That is definitively one that came out of this season. We're gonna move to something. We've been talking about this next topic for a while. Then it finally happened. Professional sports typically deadlines spurn action. We've seen social media has responded to it. Of course, I'm talking about the WNBA and the WNBA PA coming to an agreement, so we'll have a season this year. But let me go ahead and pull that wonderful stuff up real quick and get it up on the screen for you guys. All right. So it is a 7-year deal with an opt out after 6 years. There's a lot of different things that change. I'll touch on a couple of them, and when we go through this, I'll move through this sheet so everyone can see it. Um, Rookie scales went up. The max went up by quite a bit. The team salary caps will now be at 7 million. It's projected to get to as high or be over 11 million by 2032. Um, One of the things I know the players wanted that they did end up getting was housing. League provided housing will be available for all players in 26, 27, and 28 for all players making 500,000 or less. In 2029 and 2030, you'll now have new developmental players will be provided housing. You now have the 12 person roster now with two developmental slots, which we've seen in the past couple of years how that could have been advantageous in the past, especially with we've seen teams ravaged by injuries at times, and also just um, you know why not? From a developmental standpoint, you definitely see a ton of positives in that. But I'm gonna keep this up on the screen. Gonna go through this. Another thing that happened was there's a one-time recognition payment for WNBA vets and retired players based on years of service in the league. $100,000 for vets who had 12 years of service. Retirees for 12 years plus. 50,000 for retirees with between 8 and 11 years of service. 30,000 for retirees with 5 to 7 years of service. Um, Cardell, we'll start with you, then go to Xavier and Ray. Now that we've gotten to this point, there's been a lot of people saying a lot of random stuff. You know how it goes in 2026. It could be something I've never ever considered to watch, care about, or even be a factor in my life. But I'm gonna dust off these fingers, crack my knuckles, get on my keyboard, and just start shouting into the void because why not? We'll start with you, Octavian and Ray. Your thoughts on what is, we can't, one thing that can't be debated is a landmark agreement for, uh, for for the WNBA. So go ahead,
Yeah.
Curtis.
Definitely happy for the ladies to get to this point, get it resolved. Their pay to increase, all the resources, facilities, everything that we've been saying for years that they should have been had. Glad they kind of got to this point, especially with the, you know, the, the minimum salary going up and players being able to be millionaire players. Now they have the option where they don't necessarily have to go overseas anymore. After the season, they can chill, recuperate, work on their game, do other things if they want. Who knows? Getting a coach, whatever they want. They have more options now. Where it's like, shoot, as soon as the season over, we overseas. As soon as overseas over, we back in the W. For the most part, some don't even come back when the W start. They come back after the W start. It's just a grind so they can maintain the quality of life and just maximize this window as a professional athlete. Um, you know, the one thing I've been harping on the whole time since last summer was, that 40% thing. I was like, I just never saw that happen. I wish it didn't. It's going to become a time for that. This ain't the one. The next one is the one that got to go hard for that. You know what I mean? But this is not it. Um, I love what they did for the retired players, the foundation, the bricklayers, players that laid everything down so these ladies can benefit. I'm glad that they thought to take care of them, in a sense, kind of giving them a nice pension, what I'm saying, where they can just, be taken care of in that regard, man. That's super dope. Um, one thing I kind of looked at with a side eye was the core thing for the young players. For the players 6 years of service or lower. I don't know how I feel about that because what if they emerge and become an MVP candidate? You know what I mean? Or all WNBA player early, 1 or 2 years in the league. You know what I'm saying? And they can get cored and not be able to get the pay that comes with that. And I kind of feel like, in a sense, because these ladies are coming out of college and they getting NIL money and a lot of established veterans never had that chance. I felt like that was kind of you know, is a little bit petty with that, man, because it's like, why have a core thing in it? If you nice in your first year, you that woman, why shouldn't you be compensated for it? You know what I mean? I just, that's just me, think looking at that. But I know there's some possible loopholes with that if you do become that. And then also the team has to want to core you. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, if, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese or one of them, Paige, one of them win MVP and they all WNBA, it's like, look, my rookie contract up. I want that million. They can core them or they can't core them. Let's say they do core them. Do they hold out for a trade? You know what I mean? Like, it can get nasty. That's all I'm saying. So that's something to watch. Also, the extended season that will be hitting towards the end of this deal, where it's 50 games, 52 games. I'm seeing dates where the WNBA season will go into November. Like, too much is given, much is required. So that workload definitely going to increase with the money. So, and we all know the W. I know it's a lot of people that like to act like they know about the W, but we know, having covered them for a decade plus and being in it, the W don't play. It's a physical league. The ladies be bumping in there. It's not for the weak. which is also good that they got 2 designated players because I think they anticipate some of the ladies breaking down, not being available with the more as the season extends, as this deal go along. But not, and I think it's going to be more competitive. You know what I mean? Like you making the league minimum, you going up against $1 million player. Come on now, it happens. You know, there's just competition, so it can get kind of rough. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. But mostly, you know, I'm happy with everything that came out of it. I honestly feel like had cooler heads prevailed earlier, this deal could have got done a lot earlier because I knew the owners wasn't going to budge on that 40%, 30% thing. I knew they wasn't. So, you know, luckily at the last minute, the last hour, you know, Stewie and Will McKay and all them, Breonna Turner, you know, they got in the room and grinded, and they stayed in those rooms, and you know they got it done. So kudos to them. Can't wait to see the ladies play. And I'm happy that they definitely got the facilities and the resources up to par. Like I just saw the news break today with more trainers, more strength and conditioning coaches, more nutritionists, and all that stuff. Like treat them like pros, man. And you know, I've always said, as y'all know, the women, they need a lot more than the men for obvious reasons. Come on, man. They're equipped to carry life. You know what I'm saying? And they can't even, they barely can get some Gatorade or something's body. I was like, what the hell is going on out here, man? So that's just man, they needed more resources from the get-go just by being a female, you know, and that's just real. So happy they got all that. Happy they got it, everything resolved, just you know, ready to see them play. Let's get back to basketball.
Yeah, I think Cardell summed it up really well because a lot of the things that he brought up was a lot of stuff that I was looking into and was interested in. I think one of the bigger things, like you said, the elongated seasons that will then come in with the 50 games, the 52 games. And I literally was saying the same quote in my head, like, so much as you know, you got to now step up and continue the momentum that they have for the league. But I think by them also getting the facilities, the strength and conditioning coaches, that gives them more of an opportunity to be ready and fit and well to be able to play the extra time. And then, like you said, not having to go overseas with the increase in the revenue for them is always going to be a good thing. I think, like you said, I think the basis of it is just treating them like pros. I think like that's just the one thing that I just see kind of rings true the most throughout this, treating them like professional women athletes. Because like you said, like they have I saw one of the things in there where the pregnancy, like they have to consent to be traded while they're pregnant, you know, like stuff like that. Like that's to me, that's doable. Like you go through a lot in those situations, and we know the whole De'Erica Hamby situation. So that's one way that they can kind of put that to bed and not have to worry about that type of thing coming up again, because that was a big mar on the league for a little while when that situation was going on. And then just to see all of this, I'll be honest, I'm never that well versed in all of this stuff. So to see, you know, that I mean, the MVP was making $15,000. Like, thanks for the award, but like, so I mean, I think it's nice that they were able to get, you know, some type of increase. They were able to meet in the middle. But like Cardell said, I wish a lot of this would have happened had cooler heads prevailed earlier, and we wouldn't be in the scramble that they were at the end of it. But I'm glad it's all done. I'm glad that they can move on. I'm glad that they'll have a season so they can keep up the momentum that they've already had so far with the WNBA. And I'm just glad that they're able to get, you know, a compromise. Like you said, like there are still, of course, things that I'm sure they still wanted. And I'm sure there are things that the owners had to bend on. So I'm glad it's over with. This was kind of a nasty negotiation, but I think at the end of it, you know, it came as a compromise for both sides. And I just think at the end of the day, the fans win the most. Like we're going to be able to still get a good season. I'm ready for free agency to start now because like we're already in the time crunch. Like the season is not that far away. I'm ready for that. I know they still got to do the expansion draft. There's a lot of stuff that they still got coming down the pike to get ready for a May 8th tip off. Yeah, so I'm just excited it's over with and we can move forward.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add, but this was a win for the ladies, man. They came up in a lot of areas. Definitely glad they got it done. I think the thing that really sticks out to me is, they finally at the 11th hour, they finally just got into a room and realized they all had a common goal. I don't think anybody involved did not want the season to happen, because this is they're just at a crucial point in league history, and to just halt out all that momentum over egos or what have you would have been disastrous and unnecessary. So, I'm glad they figured it out, man. Yeah, and like you guys pointed out, with these added financial gains, more is going to be required, which is natural, but they are giving them the tools to meet those requirements. As you said, the ladies don't have to go overseas anymore, so that allows them to extend the season. Um, and they're getting resources to take care of their bodies and things like that. So yeah, man, I'm glad we won't have to go through this for at least another 6 years. But I imagine the next time they come to this table, the league's going to be in a much better space. So I don't think we'll have a repeat of this. But like Ariel pointed out, they could have been doing this in October if had things not been played out the way they played out. But that's water under the bridge at this point. And yeah, I'm just ready for the season to get started.
Now, for all y'all, before we move on, that next CBA, y'all don't think it's gonna get even uglier? Because I expect there to be more money on the table that they gotta go through. And more teams gonna be here. Like, it's gonna be extended. It's gonna be like 3 more teams at the end if they can opt out. Whenever they opt, if they choose to opt out in 2031. I think because the trajectory of this league, the way it's going, like age of 1 million, that those caliber players 1 million.
Mhm.
I can see about 6 years it reaching 8 figures. Like, they can get 10, 20, like, you know what I mean? And then how much more the pie do the ladies want then? And that's why I was like the whole time, like, that's the one where it gotta kind of get ugly, because you really gotta fight. Now you can, depending on how it goes, we still got a long way to go. But the way it's been going with the popularity is like the men's. They had a fight to get to the 40, 45, and then now the 51%. The owners just got them with the tax haven, but really the men's get 51% of that revenue. But they got the tax haven hold, so the team still don't necessarily have to give it to them. So y'all don't see that like getting more tenacious in a few years?
I don't think it'll be like this. I mean, of course, it's going to be a tough negotiation because, like you said, as things progress, the ladies going to be like, "All right, we done proved it now." So they going, like, if they went as hard as they went this time, as things get better for them, I think they're gonna have even more gumption. Kind of as they should. But
Sure.
at like Wilson always says, until they just fully become their own entity, I don't think they're going to get the split they want until that happens. So, judging where they stand on that, that's going to be always be the ugly part. Because, on one hand, they're saying, look at how this league has grown and look at the interest. We should be getting that split, but reality says something different as long as there's all these multiple hands in the pot. So yeah, man, I hope they can conceptualize it from that standpoint as to where we don't have to go through this again, because this was unnecessary.
It was, and not to cut you off, I feel like a lot of that was because of the public heat that was going towards people in power. Now, I'm gonna be spiteful. Now, you want to do that? Okay. And it was unnecessary. So I think they learned a lesson where you don't have to take it there publicly, keep it behind closed doors. Now, I agree with you in that regard, but behind closed doors, it's going to be real, because that's what I mean by that. Like, yeah, we need that 40% now, and rightfully so. Now I'm gonna be like, yeah, I mean, y'all making more. Like what you just said, Wilson. I was saying, by that time, you should be your own entity. If things keep growing, that's all I'm saying. Like, yeah, that's why I was like, y'all don't think it's gonna get even more tenacious. But go ahead, Wilson.
Yeah, like you guys laid out all the positives. I think there was a lot of wins here for them, obviously, both on and off the court. Just like the things I was concerned about was that I think with that early number, they've gone out their way to say near 20, anything but 20 of the rev split. And like that's the one thing that's been clear this entire time. That's concerning to me because if we're locked in, cover sports, been around sports most of my life, cover sports. We've seen multiple CBAs across sports. I'm always wary of any CBA that's lower than like that's out there 3 to 5 range. I am utterly concerned. I'm always concerned. So like I am happy that they got it done. There are a lot of landmark things that happen here. For that opt out being year 6, the just and again, this is me, just being me. Maybe I see stuff weird. To me, that 6 years of the league, if this keeps going, as Carnegie said, on this trajectory, right? That red split's at like 20, right? Or I'm sorry, if it's at everything but 20, because we're not allowed to say 20. Let's make that clear. It's not 20. It's near 20, possibly 20, but not 20. So that's a big range. We still haven't got that official number. Um, and they started at 40, got knocked down to 30, and then it got knocked down to not 20 in all caps. So for 6 years, I'm just thinking about that's a nasty split for the league. Like they're gonna be eating if this thing keeps growing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being honest, you're gonna eat real well. The players now, like this is great that you getting this, and this is wonderful. That's a 6 year head start they got on your league growing, booming, right? This is not counting the Juju class, the Sarah Strong class, or what have you. That's all going to happen during this 6 years, and that's I'm operating under the they opt out thing, right? That happens within the next few years or whatever. If that if they're eating that much, if your players, you're going to get some of that back. You're going to close that gap. I don't know if you're going to be able to close that gap by the next CBA. And if you're the W, are you going to help them close that gap? You won't let them jump from 20 straight to 40 when we just got here and everything that it took. And the thing that we got to was it's not 20. If you fought that hard right now, like if they got 25%, maybe I feel a little differently. Then maybe like in good faith, it'd jump to 40. That's just 15 more percent or whatever. Dog, it's not 20. I can't get that out of my mind. It's just not 20. They've gone out their way to hammer it home. Not 20. So I'm expecting in 6 years that 20 is going to magically go to 40. That's hard for me to believe from a good faith standpoint. Just that's really hard for me. I hope I'm so wrong. I really do. But y'all, the way people that have money operate and people that have less money and the people that have more money, it's hard for me to see that all of a sudden be like, hey man, 50-50. Nah, bro, that's not happening by the next CBA. Now, one thing that I hope the women are thinking of in the next 6 years is be open or prepared maybe to, you know what I'm saying? If see if you can get it to where you can peel off and do the NWSL thing where you're your own and then you can really take off. But I don't see the W going, hey man, not 20 in all caps with the big finger pointed at you. All of a sudden being like, yeah man, welcome to the 40% split club. I don't really see that. Also, I know everyone's excited about the salary cap. I am too. I'm interested in seeing it across professional sports. Are all owners equal? You can go
No,
Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL.
no.
All owners can hit. You're allowed to go. You're allowed to max out the salary cap. Do all teams do it? Some teams. I want to know what the floor is. There's some teams in professional sports, again, baseball. There's some teams who for years only spend at the floor. So yeah, you could go up to 7, but what if you don't? Some teams would be happy to get to like 6.999. Some teams won't ever dream of it. So I'm interested to see how these rosters are constructed. And as Octavia said, we got this next like 30 or 40 days, or April 15th, which I guess might be the arbitrary report day. That's that's an expansion draft, a regular draft, and free agency has to clear out because like 80% of the leagues are free agents. That's a lot that has to happen. So I'm really interested to see how this goes. That said, I'm happy with a lot of what they were able to get done. But yeah, those are my concerns by the time we get to this in like 6 years.
That's why.
Truly concerned about that because I can't get not 20 out my head. You can't even let them just say 20.
But that's why I said I think it's gonna be ugly because if they went for 40 now, You know what I mean? And you also got to understand the ladies that's going to be coming in, like you said, in the Juju draft and the Sarah Strong draft and all that. They've been negotiating NIL deals for in college. They're going to be more well versed on negotiation stuff. So they're going to fight, you know, and that's why I'm like, it's going to have to be an ugly fight. Because not only if this league keeps growing where they deserve more, they're going to be like, nah, not even the deserve thing. I want it. Like, what we doing? So that's why I feel like it's gonna get ugly, and you can't avoid it. Like it is what it is.
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be very contentious. I just hope it's not out in public. I hope that's the lesson they at least learn is,
Yeah,
you won't kill each other, do it behind closed doors, and tell us about it after you agree to it.
that,
Tell me the
that
stories after.
calling out the person that calling out the people that signs the checks, never a good idea.
Look, man. All right, man. NCAA tournament. Well, before we get there, Cardi, I'll start with you with A10.
Yeah, man. A10 just introduced a new commissioner, Dan Lebovitz. You know, A10 is look entering a new era. It is what it is. The conference officially named Dan Lebovitz's sixth commissioner, with his tenure set to begin May 4th, 2026. Longtime basketball mind and deep roots in the game, Lebowitz brings over 3 decades of experience spanning coaching, administration, and high-level conference leadership. Most recently serving as the senior associate commissioner for men's basketball in the Big East Conference. He played a central role in shaping scheduling, officiating, and league operations while previously helping elevate the national profile of the SEC. With past ties to the A10 as an assistant under the late great John Chaney at Temple University, Lebovitz steps into the role with both familiarity and vision for the league's future. He now takes over for Bernadette McLeod, whose 18-year tenure helped solidify the A10 as one of the premier basketball conferences in the country, backed by strong endorsements from league leadership, including Eric F. Spina and Chris May. Lewis is widely viewed as the right leader at a pivotal time in college athletics. His resume includes implementing innovative systems like centralized replay in the SEC and serving on the key NCAA committees, signaling a forward-thinking approach as the conference navigates a rapidly evolving landscape. With the blend of tradition, innovation, and first-hand A10 experience, the expectations that Lebowitz will build on the league's strong foundation while pushing it into its next chapter. With that being said, today they had an introductory presser for Lebowitz, and I had a chance to ask him a question that I'm sure is on a lot of people's minds.
Our next question is from Cardell Dudley from Finance Magazine. Cardell, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so Dan, thanks for answering my question. One question, I know you touched on it, the metrics and the scheduling being, pivotal for teams on the men's and women's side to try to get in the NCAA tournament. But I feel like at the end of the day, they're at the mercy of the selection committee. So what can be done, off the top of your head, just what can be done to make the selection committee recognize the great basketball on both the men's and women's side in the conference?
Yeah, I think there's a prevailing thought that it's about your brand and what do they think of us. And I've been to the mock selection twice. I have really focused on this for a long time, since 2014 when I started the American. At the end of the day, we might not love the metrics. We might say, look at this team, they're just as good as that team. But you have a room full of administrators that are trying to validate their decisions based on metrics that they're looking at. They're in that room staring at a screen, trying to differentiate a strength of schedule, a number of quad 1 wins, a quad 4 loss that eliminates someone. So I think that we have to maximize our opportunities. Of course, we want to brand the A10 and continue to brand it. Not that it's well branded, not well branded now. But at the end of the day, we've got to perform. It's a meritocracy. It rewards winning. And we've got to create opportunities, schedule in a smart way, and win the games. We can't schedule ourselves in.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, like the question you asked him, I think a lot of folks have those questions when we're thinking about the seating across both brackets. Like these committees, I'm not even finished. Y'all even watching games. Like we just out here, just like it's time to pick. We just got the boards up with darts. People being spun around in circles, throwing darts at stuff. And I don't even know if they got all the They require like the accepted teams on the list how they throw these darts. None of this stuff makes sense across both sides. But like you said, you gave us background. We'll see what that looks like. Because Carter, you've been open about this for several years now. Is how good the A10 is. And they show that year after year. What they end up putting in pros. And hey man, just being honest, like just because it's Power Five doesn't mean it's good. We watching some of these big, these
Power
historic
four.
Power Four. I'm sorry.
Big East, just UConn, the same. Come on now, I'm trying to be nice.
My bad. Oh, I'm not trying to count them. I
Big
don't
East, the
count them. So,
UConn Invitational on the men's and women's side.
man, they don't even have a conference. They're independents. They like football. They independents to me. You gotta load up the non-conference schedule to get a resume. But yeah, man, it's just disgusting out here. They need to do better all across the board. Before we get to both brackets though, Maryland is out of the tournament. Let me share with you guys in terms of how they got there. It's Maryland women that is, and then I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about the entire tournament as a whole on both sides of things. Maryland won their first round matchup, beating 12 seeded Murray State 99-67. Five Terps scored in double figures in that win. The freshmen showed out in that one. Kendall Walker, Addie Matt, they combined to score 38 points. You throw in Rainey Wilson, 7. That's Kendall. Kendall had 20. Addie had 18. Rainey, 7. That trio had 45 points in their first ever tournament game. So shout out to the freshmen showing out in their first tournament game. In their second round matchup against the host of the region they were in, North Carolina. Um, Maryland couldn't get over the hump late to complete the rally as they fell to the Tar Heels. One of the main reasons Maryland was struggling in this one, um, the free throw line. Like they struggled mightily from the free throw line in the 74-66 loss to North Carolina. In addition to the free throw line, two of their seniors had nightmarish outings from the field, like Yarden Garzon and Sarah Poffenberger for most of the year. They shot well from three. In this game, though, they couldn't find the basketball. They shot 3 of 23 from the floor combined and 0 of 16 from deep. But again, even if you separate those numbers, like throw that aside, Maryland missed 14 free throws. 14 free throws. They got to the line 31 times. So they did half of the job in terms of getting downhill, getting to the line. But you got to convert. Alucci and Kanawa finished with 21 points. Addie Mack and Kendall Walk had 13 points and 10 points respectively. That viral moment everybody's seen by now happened in the game with Brenda and Coach Alucci. And Alucci's always, proudly talking about she likes and wanted to be coached hard. That's why she came to Maryland. You see Brenda building it up in that moment, obviously, but I know it's not the way Maryland wanted to end this year, but I do think they should be very excited. You go into next year. I shared with you guys how the freshmen performed in the tournament. For most teams, you get if the freshmen aren't shook, that's a great sign going forward, and they weren't. And then you got some super upperclassmen coming back because they were injured. You get Kaylee Michael get back. You get Bree McDaniel back. You got some very talented freshmen coming in to the program. Ava McKinney should be healthy next year. She was robbed of a year. And then we have no idea what's going to happen in the portal, obviously. But one of the things I am happy that came out of all this was something that we all know because we've all been in that building before. Is that nationally, Brenda Free's getting just recognition that she deserves for being one of the best coaches in the nation. And I know it's just in that viral moment, but we know her resume, we know what she's done, and we know what she's coached above in terms of Maryland's been ravaged by injuries almost on a regular basis. For like the last 8 to 10 years, it's always what might have been 14 because of what they weren't physically. And they still, even this year, which was, not one of their best years, they were a 5 seed in a region. They missed out on hosting just, again, going back to that committee thing, what have you. That's on them too. They had a couple games where they were leading and they didn't take care of business. But anxious to see what they look like next year. But for the tournament, I guess we'll start. We're already on the women's side. They start with the women's side. You want to ask you guys what you guys have thought of the women's side of the tournament so far. I guess Carter, we'll start with you then. Octavia and Ray.
The top seed's been dominating. Let's just keep it real, man. It's been ugly on that side. Like on the women's side, it is looking like it's the Yukon South Carolina Invitational. That's what it's starting to round up to. UCLA right there, of course, but for the most part, it just look like a lot of the top seeds are just dominating. And you know, oftentimes you hear about the transfer portal and the NIL heavily on the men's side, but it's happening on the ladies' side too. And the rich are definitely getting richer, and you can see the difference. And we all know, and this is no shot. This is just reality. The talent pool for the ladies' side is very top heavy. So all the top players going to the same programs where before it was kind of a little bit more spread out. The mid and low majors have no chance, man. It's just like, yeah, well, you know, welcome to the party. You know, you go ahead, you know, get you a little brew, and, you know, get a bag of chips. Time to roll. That's it. You know what I'm saying? And it's that's literally what the reality is. Like, I think South Carolina was up on USC, and I know Juju ain't play, but they was up on USC. Like, it was something crazy, like 42-8. It was bad, man. It was just like, man, but that's the reality. But I think it's going to get more competitive as they get to, you know, obviously Sweet 16, Elite 8 territory where all the top teams, and now they got to rumble. But that's my take from it. But right now, UConn and South Carolina, they're rolling. And, you know, I'm glad, you know, right now, I'm glad the committee, for the most part, kind of kept them on opposite sides, so possibly they can meet up in the national championship. They handle business, but we're gonna see how it unfolds. But yeah, it's been very, very ugly so far on the women's side.
Octavia, your thoughts on the women's bracket?
I just want to say they came and can do just a little 1-2 step, and they little dance had to go up out of here. Yeah, I mean, Cardo's not lying. I mean, outside the 4 number ones are the 4 number ones for a reason, and all of their games have been cakewalks. I think I probably watched the first quarter and a half of each of them and was like, yeah, I ain't watching the rest of this. I think some of the other games where the seeds have been a little bit more closely matched have been exciting to a certain degree. I think the I don't know what it is. I know Notre Dame is, you know, always kind of in the conversation at time, but I love Hannah Hidalgo. Like, she plays so goddamn hard. Like, and her passion just come out every 5 seconds. Like, I could watch her play basketball all day long. I mean, like, she move a mile. It's crazy. So, I mean, that game with them in Ohio State, to see her and Jelani Cambridge going back and forth, because I mean, Jelani still had 30 plus as well. And I think Hannah I know she had a double. She might have been close to a triple double. They said that she was close to having like the franchise, some record for the most steals in a season. Like, it was like that type of game. Like, that game was really good to me. I think it was the Iowa State game in UVA, maybe. I think it was whoever UVA played. I can't remember. But UVA, yeah, Iowa, that was a good game too. Double overtime. To go from being, you know, first four game, and to be able to be the only double digit seed still left in the field. They got their money's worth too. So they got to do a little bit more than a 1-2 step. But like I said, the number ones are just really running away with these things. So I'm excited to see what happens. Like Cardell also said, like, the closer and closer we get to Sweet 16 games, Elite 8, that's when we're really, really going to see the competition. But these ones, I mean, we said all of that, didn't even talk about Madison Booker, who had 40. Olivia Miles had a triple double. Like, it's crazy. Like, they're going wow. So I enjoy watching those teams play well, but I'm excited to see when it really gets down to it and they have to play, you know, teams that are close to their caliber. I mean, it's so many names to mention. I didn't even mention Flage, how well she played in her last game as well. Yeah, it's just the teams that are at the top are proving why they're at the top. The ones that can kind of make something shake a little bit have done so. So see how it goes. But I'm excited to see the Sweet 16 and Elite Eight. Then further and further we get down.
The dog will have
Right.
6, 13, and 8 steals. So
Close to triple double.
yeah, 8 steals is ridiculous.
Crazy.
That's stupid. Go ahead, Ray. Your thoughts on this, Ray.
Yeah, things don't typically get interesting till around this time, usually, because like Cardell said, it's just so top heavy on the women's side. But still been a few good games. Octavia talked about Iowa State and UVA, and people just had some great performances as well. Brought up Madison Booker, Hannah and Olivia. It's never going to sit right with me that they're not on the same team no more. But
could you imagine?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if they was on the same team?
But yeah, man, it does look like UConn and South Carolina on the collision course. As much as I would love to see that, wouldn't mind seeing either one of them lose neither. So we'll just see how it goes. The likelihood of that happening is slim because yeah, man, UConn look like they trying to get AZ another one before she get up out of there, and South Carolina look like they trying to get some get back. So yeah, man, I'm just excited to see how this thing turns out.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I thoroughly enjoyed watching UVA. I don't got to do some research, I guess, as to why they were ranked what they were ranked, but they don't play like a first four team. That's just a good basketball team. But hey man, it's been fun watching them. Like you guys said, with Notre Dame breaking up that backcourt, it's hilarious because the two of them are insane. They're probably going back to back in the draft when they come out. Uh, it's just crazy because Notre Dame, you had both. You had them both, and they did the team back Vince Carter split up in college, which is crazy. That you can do that, and then both they teams still rumbling in the tournament.
What?
Which is
Refresh my
nuts.
memory. Why did she leave?
They was beefing about something. Them two definitely was beefing about something. I don't know if that's why they left, but I think Olivia felt like Hannah was taking over because remember Olivia was hurt when Hannah first got there, and Hannah just came right on in and was like, Olivia who? And I think probably in the back of her mind, Olivia thought she probably wasn't gonna get to like lead the team. That's just my thought. I don't know if she's ever come out and specifically said why she left. I do know there was underlying beef between them, but I don't think that's why you leave the program. But I'm not a college kid anymore, so
Oh Jesus, girl, Olivia, you still would have been a top 3 pick. Like what the? Hey man, it is what it is, man.
Yeah,
She didn't think she'd be number one because but like you said, like they played together. Oh, Jesus.
I didn't know if that money was the deal. Like they came, somebody backed up the Brinks truck, and it's like, man, come on now, because
it most definitely could have been.
The programs down south, they got oil money. It's different. Like they got strength coaches traveling private on visits. Like it's different now, man. So
yeah, especially at TCU, yeah.
Texas programs, they living good. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see how this thing unfolds as it goes forward. On to the men's side of things, and Carter, you brought up a good point. I do think the women's side did a little bit better of some of those like really big high profile matchups. We're getting deeper in the tournament instead of we're like on the men's side. To me, I think we're getting some of that stuff a little too early. But again, shout out to the committee and their choices or what have you. Ray, we start with you here to work our way back up. Your thoughts on the men's tournament thus far, man?
Oh man, it's still been exciting basketball. Had like on the men's side, you do get a little bit more fireworks earlier, which I do enjoy. But like you guys pointed out, sometimes you get a matchup you probably want to see a little later on. But it is what it is. But yeah, you scrolling right past it. Iowa getting Florida up out of there.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh.
you got it. You got to play every night, man. That's the beauty of the tournament. You know, you have one off night and you up out of there. So yeah, man. But you know, Duke they're looking like they're as advertised. You know, Michigan has been dominant as well. So yeah, man, look like they're trying to lock horns at the end of this thing. You know, all Houston, I'm always wary of them just because of how hard and tough they play. And man, teams got to feel like they just finished playing a football game when they play them, because them dudes just aggressive and strong as hell. And that's, you know, that'll carry you through, you know, a night when your offense really ain't clicking. You can you can just beat the other team up and slow things down. So they're always going to be a tough out. But yeah, man, I think we might be looking at Duke. I don't know, man. They look like they clicking on all cylinders right now.
Octavia, your thoughts on the men's side of the bracket?
Yeah, I think again, with me have gone to college in North Carolina, this one was a crazy situation that everybody that I went to college with, of course, had to talk about. I mean, UNC losing a 19-point lead to VCU. I don't know what's going on there anymore. That was crazy. Now I know they don't have their best player, but 19 points, that's a tough pill to swallow at that point. I think we've seen some good games. We've seen some monumental breakdowns on the one side of the ball that we talk about a lot. On the defensive side of the ball, it's just been like, granted, the players have done some amazing offensive things, but it's just been like defensive breakdowns. The St. John's, I mean, he just drove to the basket and like nobody stopped him. and then with Florida, I mean, I don't know why you guys are pressing when the only thing that can beat you is a three. And you know, so it's just stuff like that. But again, like, I think that's what gives us the parity within the tournament. Duke was tested a little bit in the beginning. I'm very interested to see Duke in this St. John's game, just because I think also just hometown pulling a little bit, seeing how Michigan State is going to fare against UConn, but that's going to be a good game, I assume. But yeah, I mean, I think that outside of a couple of maybe toss-ups that people didn't really think, I don't think there's been too much parity that's gone back and forth within this so far. But I think the ones are outside of Florida are hanging in there. I think Ray, brought up a good point. Houston is always like I don't want to say dark horse or sleeper, but like you said, like, you really you can get anything from them at any time. So I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see how it all shakes out. But I think kind of similar to the women's side, like the closer and closer now that we're getting Sweet 16, Elite 8, like those are the games that I live to watch for in March Madness. So I'm excited.
Cardell, to wrap this up, your thoughts on the men's side of the bracket?
The committee and a lot of fans need to watch more college basketball throughout the season than usual suspects, because they're seeing that a lot of mid-major, low-major dudes can hoop, and they breaking out and they having fun. I was, Howard and UMBC, that first game, that was a great game, and Howard got their first tournament win ever, and that was that ended up being a great game. Miami over Ohio when they beat SMU, and I'm like, how in the hell you went over 30 games before the tournament, and you in the first four? That's what I mean by the committee. That's disrespectful, man. Like, clearly something's going on if you can win 30 games. Like, this got to be a quality team, bro. Like, god dang, you know what I'm saying? Like, some things, what you say wasn't 1 + 1 is 2. Like, it doesn't.
Every once in a while.
Hey man, like they said it's 4, dog. It's like, come on, man. Like, what we doing out here? Sienna, they almost got Duke up out of there, man. If they had more depth, if McNamara had a bench, it'd have been problems. They pushed them boys to the brink, and I respect John Shire for saying, yeah, I got out coach. Like they had me confused out here. And if it wasn't for Boozer being what he's about to be, top 3 pick or whatnot, just kind of steadying the ship, they would have got him up out of there, man. And that's the scare with having such a young team, no matter how talented they are. Like it's a new experience every game they move on, and you don't quite know how they gonna, show up. Michigan, I got Michigan, Arizona as the 2 teams I think gonna cut down the nets because they not only they top, like they got a lot of experience with the right guys that came in the portal or whatnot. They deep as hell and they extremely well coached. Like they can beat you with any style. They can go small, big, traditional. They can beat you with threes, inside, transition. They play defense. It's just a tall order to beat those teams. They just got to have an off night. But like what I mean by standouts from the mid-major, kid from Cal Baptist. I'm pretty sure nobody even heard of Cal Baptist before. But the kid, Dominique Daniels Jr., that's a bad one. Like he gave Kansas beat him. Man, he was giving Kansas fits, man. And they was throwing bodies at him, they knew what was coming, and he made them boys work, man. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean by like you got to watch the games more. Even the teams you just, what is this? You just watch. You'll be shocked. You know what I'm saying? You saw what Utah State did to Villanova in that last 2 minutes when they just took it up to another level. And I read a young kid from around the area, the point guard, Caden Lewis. They was like, they asked him about the end, and he said, "Man, we were tired. I look up, they up 10." He said it happened fast as hell. Like he was just in shock. Like, yo, what? And it don't take much. And then you saw the athleticism. Like Utah State was a good team, but nobody watched them. You had to watch them to understand. And then when they play the Big East team, the Power 4 prestigious team, it looked like a different speed, man, when it came down to winter time. And that's what I'm talking about. Iowa beating Florida, I'm not too shocked. Again, they got a first rounder at point guard, Bennett Sturts. You see what I'm saying? Like, he was the best player on the floor. And when you got the best player on the floor in the tournament, you always got a chance. And what we always say about guard play,
it's everything this time of year, man.
It dictates a lot, man. You gotta have guard play, control the game, all that stuff, man. It's real. VCU being North Carolina, I don't understand why people were shocked by that. One, Caleb Wilson did not play. Like, if he played, that would have been a different thing. I know they were down 19, but VCU has been coming back all throughout the season. Again, watch the games. You got to watch the games. And when you understand what VCU is about, a lot of people, like I said, I went down to VCU, do a little scouting work early in the season. The upgrades in their facilities is on par with a lot of NBA teams. Like, it's literally on par with what the Wizards have. But you see what I'm saying? Like, they have power, and they're the main attraction at that school. And the athletic director don't play about that program. So you can't sleep on it. And then Phil Martelli and that staff, they're excellent coaching staff, and they have a lot of talent. That's why they were able to get North Carolina out of there. Maybe if it would have been with Caleb Wilson, I would have understood, because he's a hell of a difference maker that wasn't on the floor. Nah, man, they wasn't worried about those dudes, man. Nick Lewis had amazing games. It was sad he went down in the next round game, with the ankle thing. That was sad because they needed him. But when you got a kid come off the bench, Terrence Hill Jr., that can give you 34, that should tell you all you need to know. They had no answer for him. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, my point is, man, we got to watch the games more, man. And you got to evaluate these teams based on how they played throughout the season instead of some metrics based on the value of the conference that you perceive it to be. I feel like that's just a slap in the face. Those days need to be over, man. You know what I mean? So, because it's a lot of mid-majors that should have had multiple teams in there compared to some of these Power 4 conferences where teams just got in off the strength of being in the same conference as heavy hitters. You know what I mean? So, that's my take from it, man. I'm excited to see how, adjustments are made now that teams have had time to rest and they got a little experience in the tournament and whatnot. And we're going to see how it goes, man. But, again, for me, I'm looking more so at UConn always gonna be there, but I think Michigan and Arizona, I think they the favorites right now.
Yeah, and to your point, you talk about like the ACC had 8 teams in the tournament. It shouldn't have been
Well,
18.
actually just
And
announced that Hubert Davis will not be back. So there's that.
yeah,
Yeah.
hey man, I think we knew that when that clock was ticking. The clock was ticking to triple zeros against VCU.
Literally just
We all knew what time that was. But yeah, man, like it can't just be you're in this conference, so you're automatically better than somebody. Like, nah, if you're bad, you're bad. Like sometimes conferences are horrible, like just horrible. Cardell, again, we've been talking all year. I love to do this. I'll bring up the Big Least once again. The only team that had a winning non-conference schedule in that conference was UConn. Your conference is bad. Like if you took the name off it, we be talking crazy about a mid-major conference with those types of records. We be trashing them. So keep this same energy because that stuff doesn't mean what it used to mean. The Big East is never gonna be the Big East again, man. It's gone. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. We'll remember it for what it was once was, just like the Pac-12. Those things are gone. We all got to live through them, but they're gone. And it is what it is. But Cardell, NBA draft spotlight. Who you got for us this week?
Yep, gonna go to young fella out of Washington, man, Heinz Steinbach, 6'11" center forward, but he's versatile, super skilled, man. Steinbach is look, he built real momentum throughout the season, and as pre-draft season comes, he's a name that just keep name the track, so to speak. He had a 22.24 rebound showing against USC late in the season, which was a loud statement of what he already can do at the 6'11" level. German big, brings a blend of size, strength, and a natural feel that translate immediately to the college game. He's fundamentally sound with his footwork, creates angles with balance, and consistently finishes through contacts thanks to strong hands and soft touch. What stands out most is his rebound instincts. He doesn't just rely on size, he reads the ball off the rim, calls out position early, and pursues it with purpose on both ends. Offensively, he's just not a finisher either. There's real connected passing ability in short roll situations and from the high post, showing the level of IQ that fits, the modern big man play in the NBA today. Where Steinbach kind of excites a lot of people long term is the flashes. He runs the floor well for his size. He can finish in transition. He shows enough touch to kind of gauge that there's more offensive ability than what he's consistently shown in Washington as he continues to develop. But he does have limitations as all freshmen and all players in the draft does. He's not yet a consistent floor spacer. Defensively, he's not a true rim protector or like defense ain't like say Clinnigan that came out of UConn, at least not yet. He hasn't shown that. And he's not a switchable big because he's not laterally quick. So if you get out on the guard, he really has to be disciplined because it could be an issue. And so especially in space, but those concerns kind of cap his ceiling unless his jumper comes along and he gets in better shape and his lateral quickness and tendencies emerge. Still, when you factor in the IQ, physicality, his skill set around the basket, some people compare him to Chris Bosh because of his skill set at that size and his mobility. Man, it's a strong foundation that's there. For me, the outlook is a high floor interior big who can carve out a role as a dependable rotation piece, but with the upside, the tied directly to how he develops with his range and defensive versatility.
All right, so yet another player to keep an eye on as we get closer and closer to draft season, which is again, if we're talking about the W star, that means the draft season's not that far away either, at all. I think we're gonna start with we got a couple rapid fire questions before we get out of here. Colonel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been only 2 weeks since the backpedal heard around the football world. A new article from Ryan McFadden at ESPN takes a detailed look at the failed Max Crosby trade from the Raiders to the Ravens. The key quote from McFadden's reporting from Baltimore's decision to not proceed, the consensus was that Crosby would be able to play in 2026. The Ravens' concern center on uncertainty of Crosby's durability after a couple of seasons in Baltimore because of a degenerative issue in his knee, a source told McFadden. Crosby had surgery to repair a torn meniscus in January. He was and still is recovering from that procedure. The reasoning makes sense. The Ravens were going to send a pair of first-round picks to the Raiders. The Ravens had never and still haven't traded a first-round pick for a player. They presumably wanted Crosby something more than a short-term Harrison, especially if they were also going to be giving Crosby a sweetener over the 4 years, and $116 million remaining on his current deal, which works out to well below market value of $29 million per year. In the end, the Ravens had to make a projection about the condition of the knee for 2026 and beyond. They did. Octavian, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of laid it out even with bringing everything up. I think it's just the way that this franchise has always moved, and they don't really move off of that trajectory of how they work. They don't give up, like you said, first round picks very easily. And to give up a first round pick for, I mean, Max Crosby's no spring chicken. He's not super old, but for somebody in that state, for that period of time, and then for them to come out and think that he has a degenerative knee issue, we see what that looks like with Kawhi Leonard in the NBA. I can only imagine how that would be in the NFL. And of course, you know, they're trying to maximize the time that they got. They just got a new coach. They're going to a new direction. So it doesn't surprise me that they backed out of it. I think a lot of the hoopla was just the fact that it actually happened because you guys weren't here. But when it happened, I literally had an audible gasp of this happening because I was just so shocked. I think that's more of what everybody's looking at, just a shock that it was actually rescinded. But as we all talked about, the league year hadn't started, so none of this stuff was actually finalized, and it's always pending a physical. So I think unfortunately for Max Crosby and probably for the Raiders, who would have loved those 2 first-round picks, the Baltimore Ravens just did what they needed to do for their franchise. We know their leadership has always been top tier. So I don't think anything was done in malice or anything. I just think they really had to stop and take an actual look at what they were giving up. Because, I mean, you got to think about it. This is a franchise that had the same coach for 25,000 years. You know, like they're very cautious and very particular about the type of things that they do. They went back and forth about re-signing Lamar Jackson, like, for goodness sakes. Like, they're very anal about how they move. So it doesn't surprise me in that aspect. I just think the whole shock of a trade of that caliber being rescinded in that way just put a lot of shockwaves through the league.
Right.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that they jumped out there like that, given the situation. But yeah, once I think they they had some buyer's remorse, they had it out and took it. You know, that's their prerogative. And I mean, yeah, I honestly don't blame them because that was a hefty price tag. And you know, like Octavia said, they're kind of in flux right now, and that's a strange position for a franchise that's used to stability to be in. So yeah, they got to move carefully. So I mean, I was more shocked at the initial trade being done than to it being backtracked.
Yeah, I just think they got, like you said, the buyer's remorse. I think that technically they didn't do anything wrong because it was within this new legal tampering period, which means you're able to tamper. So until the deal's done, it's okay. You can renege as much as you want. I just think we haven't seen a team do this uh, like that wild, especially as y'all mentioned when you jump out there and talk about multiple firsts. I think they thought there was about to be some type of crazy arms race for Trey Hendrickson, and they thought they weren't going to be afforded. The NFL looked Trey Hendrickson in his face and was like, "No." And then they were like, "So we could get one of these 2 veteran pass rushers and keep our first? Yeah, I'm cool." And I think it was as simple as that. Cardell, you brought it up earlier. 1+1 is 2. And they were within their rights to do that. It was legal tampering. You can get close to as many deals as you want to. The league here did not start. Everything's monopoly money until the league here started. And guess what? You brought him in for a visit. You took away your monopoly money. It is what it is. It's a lot to talk about, but yeah, man. Even like with the knee, the way they jumped back out of the deal, one would think Max Crosby's missed a ton of games in his career, right? Anybody want to take a guess at what that number is?
It's not a lot.
Because it's hilarious. That number is actually hilarious. 7 games in 7 seasons.
Yeah.
That's how many games he's missed. I think the most he missed was last year with the Raiders, which I mean, he's
And
playing for the Raiders. Which
missed those. They argue with them about that.
he tried to play through that too, but again, I just think it wasn't anything deeper than we need a pass rusher. Like we legit need one because since Mike McDonald left, our defense doesn't work. But we already look like fools because we got rid of Adafe Owe, gave him to the Chargers for the low on a horrible deal. He goes over there and balls out, parlays that performance into the bag in Washington, and you drafted him. You could have just paid the guy you drafted, but you gave up on him. You traded him, and he was younger than he's about the same age anyway. So you did all that, and then you ended up paying for Anderson, which is wild, but that's their choice. It's a prerogative. They were allowed to do it because it was legal tampering. But I just think we're not used to the Ravens operating in that fashion. But it happened.
All right, last question that we get up out of here, man. Detroit guard Kate Cunningham eligibility for individual honors, such as a spot on all NBA team, is in some doubt because of the 65-game rule for such awards, and the Players Association said Tuesday that shouldn't be the case. The NBPA, which through the collective bargaining agreement, agreed to that rule as part of the current agreement between the league and its players, said it at minimum wants to see the rule amended. Quote, Cade Cunningham potential ineligibility for postseason awards after career-defining season. It's a clear indictment of the 65-game rule and yet another example why it must be abolished or reformed to create an exception for significant injuries. The union said through a spokesperson. Since its implementation, far too many deserving players have been unfairly disqualified from the end of the season honors by this arbitrary and overly rigid quota. Cunningham has appeared in 61 games this season. He's expected to miss several more games while recovering from a collapsed lung. And if he misses too many, he'll fall short of the 65-game threshold. OK has delivered a first-team All-NBA season. Cunningham's agent, Jeff Schwartz of Excel Sports Management, said if he falls just short of an arbitrary games played threshold due to legitimate injury, it should not disqualify him from the recognition he has clearly earned over the course of the season. The league should be rewarding excellence, not enforcing rigid cutoffs that ignore context. An exception needs to be made. A number of players will be ineligible for the most major individual awards this season because of the 65-game rule, including Los Angeles Lakers LeBron James, whose 21-year streak of making the All-NBA team will end. Milwaukee Giannis Antetokounmpo, Golden State Steph Curry also missed too many games to be eligible, and a number of other players, including Nikola Jokic and Victor Wembanyama, both of whom are MVP contenders, are near the line for ineligibility. MVP frontrunners Oklahoma City Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Lakers Luka Doncic can still miss a handful of games to keep their eligibility. Quote, it's for the right reasons, but it's tough, Cleveland guard Donovan Mitchell said over the weekend. In remarks published by the Cleveland.com about the 65-game rule. We get paid money to be out there, but there's certain things you can't control. It's not like guys are resting and missing these games. These are legitimate injuries, so it's something to look at for sure because there's no way certain guys should be in this scenario. Ray, your thoughts on all of this? Should K get a pass, or is this just you look at this as the player's fault for all that low management stuff?
That's exactly how I look at it. Every time this is brought up, people don't ever want to talk about how we got here. Look at your colleagues. This is the fruit of their labor or lack thereof. So it sucks for Cade because he had a hell of a season, but yeah, man, they not about to use this one situation to try to apply it to everybody. And I want them to point out all the people that were so deserving that missed awards since this rule has been implemented. Miss me with all that. And then it's not out of bounds to ask for somebody to not miss 17 games in the season. Come on, man. And I get the K situation is different, because he, collapsed lung ain't nothing to play with. And he had a season worthy of, first team All NBA. Should be in MVP talks and all that, but we're not about to act like the Cade situation applies to every single player. So I like I said, it sucks for him, but all this crying and lamenting, get out of here, because y'all could have fixed this a long time ago before this even need to be implemented. So it is what it is, man.
Wilson.
Yeah, I'm cool with the amendment because Case thing is like it's a collapsed lung and he's been out here playing all year. However, if they're gonna try to take an amendment and take Case, and as Ray said, because you can't give these folks anything because this is what they do. Because this is an isolated, very rare case. He has a collapsed lung. He's not nursing a nagging injury. He's not taking a week off. A collapsed lung while doing what he's been doing all season, just playing hard, freak accident. So I'm cool with an amendment for that, but I'm not okay with it if it comes at the price for. I don't want to hear what's the name brought up for anything. Got nothing. None of them other people have nothing to do with this. Like leave leave that stuff alone. Like we don't need to do that. That's it's a little bit different. But I don't like Ray said. I don't think they're gonna be okay with like, oh, this is amended in this type of case, but they'll be okay with it. I think they want it across the board so they can continue doing what they've been doing. Like again, you have up to 17 games you can miss. That's not too much to ask, considering what everyone's getting paid, man. It's just not too much at all. And we were looking at the WNBA CBA earlier when they had the prices for, the price for people making all season things and things of that nature. Yeah, there's monetary value in that. Hit the requirements, man. Hit the requirements. Like I'm okay. Do I think Kate deserves an exception for sure? But it can't come at the price of if they try to turn it into one size fit all. Then no, just it sucks, Kate. I'm sorry. Had a hell of a year. Get it back in blood in the postseason. Get healthy and get it back in blood in the postseason.
Octavian.
Yeah, I'm with Ray. Like the reason we're here now is because of your colleagues. Unfortunately, it's a thing that happens in the workplace. When one person messes up, they mess up for everybody. So that's what happened. It got messed up for everybody. And I mean, I agree that it does suck for Cade in this situation. But I mean, my thing is, if you do an exception, it's going to happen every year. So is it really an exception? Like, because it's going to happen every year. Because they could have said the same thing last year about Victor Wembanyama, who had blood clots. He can't control having blood clots. So there's always going to be something every year. And I just think that they put themselves in a situation, like you guys have already stated, like that amount of games is not something that is not doable. And if it's not doable for you, then unfortunately, yeah, you don't qualify for these awards. The players that have been here and that have been playing hard all year, yeah, maybe they haven't been playing as great as you have, but they've been playing more than you have and have been out there more for whatever reason. I understand injuries happen, it's a part of the game. But they have so many different opportunities to be out there. We talk about it all the time about how much more advanced we are when it comes to making sure their bodies are in the right places and in the right shape. Some of these players, now I'm not talking about a collapsed lung because you can't, I don't know what exercise you can do to make sure your lung don't collapse and breathe, but there are things that these players could be doing, like, and I get it, Kawhi, degenerative knee, like it sucks, but unfortunately that's the bed that they made and now they gotta lie in it. So I feel for Kate. It sucks that it happened to him, but as you guys have all said, like I don't think that it's worth going back on the rule for one out of however many players it is in this situation. When it's always going to be something every year. So unfortunately for him, it sucks, but hopefully it puts, some more fuel in him for next year to go back and do it all over again.
I'm gonna keep it brief. What other job can y'all go on and miss days, multiple days, and
they got
expect a bonus in a sense? Like no. Doesn't work like that, man. And I love Cade, man. Like that collapse along with some BS. Because obviously he was covering when it happened against the Wizards. So it sucks for him. But what the players are not about to do is use this situation and try to change this rule. Nah, man. Y'all. When I say habitual line steppers with this load management stuff, like habitual, dog, like disgusting, to the point now half the league is just tanking. Like it's like you're not gonna get any sympathy and stuff like that. It's too many issues going on with the league as is. I just can't see the league even. No, you 65 out of 82 games. That's too much. You got Steve Kerr in a press conference talking about they need to lower the number of games and stuff, which is fine. Now take a lot of that money away, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, I could play. I guarantee you, it's just too much, man. Like it's too much, man. It really is, though. It takes so much away from basketball. Just what drives these pro leagues, and it's everybody, but the star players is what make people come and pay all this money because they want to see these once in a lifetime type talents perform against one another. If you're not on the floor, that's gonna make people not want to pay attention and spend their money on this game. It hurts the business. It hurts the overall product. That's the whole point of the rule, to keep y'all on the floor. So a fan that may travel from around the world to come see you play ain't just waste a lot of money. You know what I mean? It's too much. Y'all making more money than ever. Y'all say it's bigger, stronger, all these resources and all that. Why can't y'all stay on the floor? Ain't nobody saying y'all gotta play like it's game 7. Hey, just come out like Mike and them used to do. Come out there, handle business for about 25, 30 minutes. I'm chilling. The fan satisfied. I got to see Michael Jordan play. That's all you gotta do, handle business. Like, nah, man. And as much as I want to reside with them, nah, bro. Like the damage is done, man. The damage is done. It's like what Octavia said. I remember elementary school. Boy in our class acted a fool. Teacher got so fed up, we couldn't even go to recess. Everybody on the wall.
On the wall was wild. I hated it.
We watching all the other class play and all that, dog. But you know what? We gotta take that because this dude want to act a fool. Heard he got jumped later on. That ain't none of my business. I wasn't there. I'm just saying that's the word on the street. We ain't had no more problems out of them, so I don't know what happened. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you need to act right. This is their act right. So be professional, show up to work, play, get it done. Maybe the league down the road will be like, all right, we can rescind this. But right now, man, y'all don't got the benefit of the doubt, man. Anybody trying to hit, and it sucks for K. He does not. He deserves like the exception. Like, all right, Adam Silver, nah, K, cool. But the rest of y'all dudes, I ain't trying to hit.
Like Adam, you got a moment where I'd be cool with you for 2 seconds. Give me a commissioner's exception. Let them know it got nothing to do with them. This is above their pay grade. It is your decision. Outside of that, the Kate, it sucks that you got, like I said, get it back in blood in the postseason, baby. Yeah. Again, never had institute a rule like this back when people was playing in those days. But you know, y'all got it, man. We appreciate y'all as always. Y'all have a great week. We'll check in with y'all later. Wizards folks, we'll see y'all a couple more times this week as they start that road trip out west, I believe, Wednesday against Utah. You know, as we make the countdown to the end of the Wizard season, over to the start of the Mystic season. So, looking forward to all of that as it happens. But appreciate y'all as always. Get over to FocusTV.com. See y'all soon.